The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Thank you, Tally Olson. I am back. You are comfortably zoned with me, the Zigzag Man, in Alameda, California, right across the bay from San Francisco, across the moat from Oakland, in what could be the best state in the world. My guest today may argue, and I may argue with myself, because we were both brought up in New York, Lenny Levine and I, and as far as I know, it's a dead heat, California or New York. What do you think, Lenny?
Okay. Well, first of all, it's Levine rather than Levine. I know it's a toss-up whenever you see it in print. Many people are Levine, but I'm a Levine.
Okay.
And I grew up in Brooklyn.
And I grew up in Queens, so we have a lot to chat about. Let's start when you were 12, because basically I'm very curious about when you're 12, when one is 12, the enthusiasm for baseball will never be higher. And intellectually, you're starting to realize at 12 what it's about. And so what was it about for you at age 12?
Well, age 12 was actually, coincidentally, when I really started getting into the Brooklyn Dodgers and baseball. That would be 1953 was when I was 12. I had gone to my first game. My father had taken me to my first game the year before that, in 1952, at Ebbets Field, and I saw them play the Giants, as it turned out, and it was an incredible experience. You know, as everybody says, the first time they see the colors of the field, it's overwhelming because you've seen it on black and white TV only, or heard it on the radio, and so the colors, you're not expecting the colors. And also watching it on TV superficially, I didn't know that the visiting team wore gray rather than white. And so that was a revelation. About the Giants were all wearing gray, and the Dodgers were, of course, in their beautiful uniforms that exist to this day. And the only time only reason I care for the Los Angeles Dodgers at all is because it's almost the same uniforms. And I'll watch, I used to watch Steve Garvey get up, and I would look at number 6 on his back and think Carl Furillo. Right. That's it. It's looking at the uniforms, which are very, very close to what they were when I was a kid. But that's it. That's the extent of the nostalgia. But in 1953, I was in the Boy Scouts, and we would go with free group tickets to sit in the upper left field stands. And it was free, and you went in with a group, and we'd sit in the upper left field stands, and I saw several games with my Boy Scout troop that year from the upper left field stands. Later on, when I grew older and would go to Ebbets Field, my friends and I would figure out a way to do this thing for nothing. We would, rather than buy general admission tickets, we'd go around to the left field gate where the groups were, and we would ask if any groups had any slots left, which most of them did. We would pick the group that was near the front and ask the leader there, the counselor or whatever, if we could go in with them, and they would say, yeah, sure, because it didn't mean anything to them. So there we were. We were in the ballpark. We were free. Now, the upper left field stands, which was the equivalent of bleacher seats. The Ebbets Field didn't have bleachers as such, but the upper left field and center field stands were the cheap tickets, and they were sold as bleachers rather than general admission. But there was one area underneath the stands that connected with the general admission section. That's so that the general admission section that's down the third base line, abutting the upper left field stands, could go to the concession, the hot dog stands and the concessions that were underneath the left field stands. And so they had to be able to pass into the bleachers and then come back showing a ticket stub that said general admission to get back to the upper left field, upper third base stands where they sat. So we would go, there was a fence that separated the two areas among the seats. We would go to the fence and we would ask somebody on the other side of the fence if they could just lend us their ticket stubs for like a minute, and we'd give it right back to them. So we'd easily find two people that would give us their ticket stubs. So then we would go down and we would come back up the general admission ramp, show the tickets, go back to the nice people and give them back their ticket stubs. And there we were now in the general admission section of the ballpark, which extended all the way to the third base, down to third base on one side and first base on the other side. And you could sit in a general admission seat that was just behind the box seats and just across the aisle from the reserved seats. So we would go and sit in those seats, the best general admission seats you could find.
Wait for a while, move down.
Yeah, and move down, right. By the end of the game, we had gotten into the park for free, and by the end of the game, we were sitting behind the dugout.
You're in the clubhouse.
Right behind the dugout. Right, there you go. So that's what my friend and I would pull off. But 1953, I was only 12, and we didn't do that, so we would sit in the upper left field stands, which weren't bad at all. I mean, the park was so small that it was, you had a good view from just about anywhere. So that's what I was doing when I was 12.
Well, in 1953, the Yankees were in the fifth consecutive year of the greatest dynasty. And the Dodgers were great, a much better team in 53 than they were in 55.
One of the best teams of all time, the 53 Dodgers.
Yes.
I showed my grandson, who was talking about Aaron Judge's numbers, being so unreal this year. We were watching a Yankee game, and I said, "You want to see? I said, you think Aaron Judge's numbers? Look at this." And I went back online and looked up the 1953 Dodgers. Oh my God, the numbers that they had were incredible. What a lineup! I mean, just about everybody hit 300 or near it, and several hit over 20 home runs. It was just a murderer's row of a lineup.
Yes,
and this is without Don Newcomb. This was the 52 and 53. Newcomb was in the Army. So this incredible team was without their ace pitcher, and they still were one of the greatest teams of all time.
Absolutely, and I'm fortunate that I've had as a guest many Dodgers and many Dodger sympathizers. Mm-hmm. So I am acutely aware of what they meant to Brooklyn in particular. I was a Giant fan, so we not only lost Willie, but we lost the Dodgers too, and in '57, and that was horrible. That was horrible.
Oh yeah. It really was. It really was. I was at the fortunate enough, if you could call it fortunate, but I was at the last game the Dodgers played in Ebbets Field, the final game, and it was so sad. It just you watch and you look, you knew you were seeing this for the last time. It was hard to wrap your mind around it.
And with the Giants, for me, it's that sign in center field, the last game. Stay, team, stay. And all the players are walking off. And what a rivalry.
They almost ran the Giant players off the field. The fans were so angry. They ran on the players in those days, people went on the field at the end of the game. They let you onto the field, and the Giant at the end of it, the Giant players were sprinting for that clubhouse in center field because they were being chased by irate fans.
Holding on to their caps so they wouldn't be stolen, and it was never the same. Baseball was never the same, but I still love it, I must admit, but it's not what it was. Tell me how you came to write a fictional account of your youth.
Well, it started with the idea of telling a story in which you knew what the end was going to be. You know, it's like a traffic accident that you're playing the film back again and watching how it all developed. You know what the result is going to be. You know it's going to end badly, but just what did happen in that final week? And a lot of things happened that if things had gone just a little bit different all along the way, especially in that final week, there'd be no Bobby Thompson home run and none of this stuff, and the Dodgers would have easily been in the World Series. So it started with that, and then I also remembered, I was, of course, I was 10 years old that year, the tension and the animosity and how Dodger fans could see it coming, just like I'm saying, it's an accident, you know it's going to happen, because it had happened so many times before. They had always come so close. The year before that, they lost on the final day of the season when Dick Sisler hit a home run, in Ebbets Field at the final game of the regular season, and the Phillies went into the World Series. They had lost just the year before that way. They had a 13.5 game lead, which now in the final week was down to one game. And so you just knew this was going to happen. So I try to capture the frustration, the anger, that Dodger fans felt in that week, and how if they're being taunted by Giant fans who were just absolutely out of their minds with joy that this was, they called it the little miracle of Coogan's Bluff. From that side of it, this was like a miracle that was taking place. That their team was somehow blessed and and destined to do this. And so I made up a fictional world, fictional characters who existed in that final week to go along with the real events that happened, which I document in the book. Sometimes games are described from the players on the field point of view. I mean, that's how close I get sometimes to the actual things that happened in that week. And someone in this book has had it. He is literally a diehard fan, which is the name of the book, diehard fan, and he kills a Giant fan in a moment of rage, and then continues to do that because he can't help. He's overcome by his rage, and other Giant fans are killed during the week.
Well, that doesn't sound like a musical.
No, it's not a musical. It's a mystery. It's a whodunit. And my hero is a 12-year-old, as we're talking about, named Eddie Fine, who, due to circumstances, comes to realize that his father is under suspicion for these murders, and is determined to prove that his father didn't do it and couldn't do it because he loves his father and they both love the Dodgers. And he can't conceive that his father would do that, except somehow he can, because his father is an alcoholic who is prone to bouts of depression and anger. And so maybe his father is the murderer, but no, it can't be. And so he devotes his life to that week to proving his father's innocence. And it all will come to a head just as Bobby Thompson steps into the box in that fateful moment. Everything will also come to a head in my fictional world, and we will see who the murderer is, and we will see what happens. That's the idea.
Wow.
It was my task to make everything run parallel like that until it finally built to that final climax, simultaneous with Bobby Thompson hitting the home run. And that was what I did.
Certainly got my interest.
Well, thank you.
Where can this book be purchased? Is it on Amazon?
Yep. It's Die Hard Fan by Lenny Levine, right. And it's available in print, Nook, and Kindle on Amazon.com and at BarnesandNoble.com and in Barnes and Noble stores.
Beautiful. Lenny, this was a terrific show. I can't thank you enough for
thank you.
letting us get to know you and not just your book.
Yeah.
Because this is cool. Maybe you'll come back sometime when you have something to tell us.
Okay, I would love that. And thank you, Ralph. Thank you for having me on.
My pleasure. It's the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. I'm Ralph Tycho, and my guest was charming, Lenny Levine. Thank
Either
you.
way. Okay.
Well.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Adios. Happy trails.
There you go.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.